Welcome, everybody. You are tuning in to another HOAcom Alliance Leader Spotlight. My name is Tisha Marie Pelletier, and I am the Community Manager for HOAcom, the #1 referral network for the home service industry. And we're building quite rapidly all across the country. Super exciting stuff. And today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to one of our Alliance leaders. This is Jimmy Rios. He is not only a realtor with EXP. He has quite the history, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. And also, he is leading our Maricopa Business Alliance, which is just coming up. I know Jimmy will talk about that a little bit more. But if you are in the Maricopa area and you are looking to get connected, Jimmy is your guy. I also want to point out that if you are tuning into this live, I know we have some likes coming on, and you are tuning in, we'd love to hear where you're from and who you are. So drop us a comment in the chat, say hello, and we're going to go ahead and get this live stream started. So Jimmy Rios, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this Alliance Leader Spotlight. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tisha. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. Well, I know in the green room, we were talking about your past because I know that a lot of us wear a lot of hats. I know myself included. You know, you could say, oh, you do marketing. I'm like, actually, I've done a lot. I've done a lot of things. And I think that just in talking to you, you're not just a realtor. You said you've been in mortgage and you've done credit repair and you've done all these things. Like, I want to dive into that with you first and foremost. How did you get into this? Like, how did you get into all of these things that you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, back in the late 90s, I was working for corporate America. Trying to, learn the ropes in financial services, and was managing a pretty big branch for Citigroup, and I decided to start my own business. I saw there was a lot of things I wanted to do, but I couldn't, and so I said, well, I'm just going to do it myself, and I really took the jump as a young guy, didn't know much. Back in those days, you didn't need a license to do mortgages. But what I did know was I wanted to help people, and I really undertook the roles that I had in corporate America and financing and management, sales, marketing, to really put something together for myself. And I built a company called Rios Financial Group, right? And we worked out of the Arizona room, with my brother and my mother-in-law, and it was really old. It was old school, we were doing loans. But I was working with about probably 90 to 95% of my clients were Hispanic, Spanish speaking, or first generation. And it was pre the SEO marketing days. So everything that I did was like soup to nuts, helping people from the start until the end and everything in between. And so I had to wear a lot of hats. I had to put on my tax hat. I had to put on my insurance hat, mortgage, real estate, and to be able to get the end goal of helping these people. We didn't have an HOAcom alliance of individuals to help. So I did what I had to do. I got my licenses to be able to legally do what I do. And it was a great dynamic in the sense that people could see what I was doing for them and they would tell everybody, right? Their sisters or brothers. So I got a lot of referral business that way. And over time started mastering kind of my trade. I started seeing, different holes in my own systems, what needed to be done to fix those. And, I got my license in real estate because I saw that there was something missing and I wanted to be part of that solution. Right. So I had my license, and then the debacle of 2008 came, everything went, washed away and then started over. Right. And, having that entrepreneurial mindset and spirit, nothing could wear me down. I mean, even though you go through those downpours, I still felt that I had it in me. And I ended up 2 years ago getting my license back. I started another business that would help people with their credit, really putting all the different pieces back together the way that but this time with more years of experience, a little bit more help, and definitely looking outside the box. I
Mhm.
joined HOA.com to meet some other individuals that could help me in
Mhm.
my endeavor. And we'll talk more about that and how that's really made me different in how I'm doing things now. So I look at myself as, I guess, like now I'm the 2.0 version, right? Of Jimmy Rios from before the debacle. That was 1.0. I think after the debacle of 2008, there was a kind of a metamorphosis, and it's boom, here I am, 2.0, and I have a lot
Boom.
more to offer. Yeah,
Here you are. Oh, I love that you're saying that, Jimmy. You're like, this was Jimmy 1.0. After the debacle, after the 2008 fiasco, boom, Jimmy 2.0 has emerged. Here he is. And I'm loving this story because you and I are very similar. I'm very entrepreneurial minded too. Like I didn't just stop with one business or two businesses. I'm actually on my fifth business, Jimmy, because I'm
that's
like,
great.
I love it. I love that I'm just an avid learner. And I think with you, you're like, I could do this better. I could learn this. I could do this. I could make this a one stop shop. I especially
Yes,
love that you are focused on more of that Hispanic market.
sure.
You're like, trust me, I have your back. I can do this. We can do everything for you in every facet. So you've really created this one stop shop solution for the market. And I think it's so brilliant. So kudos to you for not
You know,
stopping and not letting the debacle get you down.
there's something said about that old school boutique mentality of like a mom and pop shop.
Mhm, mhm.
And my wife and I, because my wife is a big part of this, right?
Yeah,
She came from the medical field and didn't want anything to do with entrepreneurial, anything entrepreneurial, because she's analytical. She's, totally opposite from my type A personality
right.
slash ADHD, just go, go,
Go, go.
go, right?
Go, go.
But that balance gave me another way to look at things, right? Another perspective, which in essence helped me look at the way I help people individually
Mhm,
different, right? Because when I was working for corporate, and I've been in corporate back and forth over the years, right?
mhm,
Um, there's something about being a number, and it's
mhm,
lost where the customer service part of it and the help to an individual gets lost, right? Somewhere in the shuffle, it does. Where when we work in this system, there's a way that we can really go dive in with the client, almost holding their hands. And there's such a power behind helping individuals that way. That doesn't
mhm,
mean I have to do everything, because
mhm,
nowadays I've been able to manage myself to a point where I can get the right people in the right spots
mhm.
to be conduits of my solutions, right?
Right.
So when I say I'm going to help you, it might be a team of two or three people in my team that is
Mhm,
going to help you, but it's really overlooked by me, and I'm talking to you and I'm going over different things. And if I'm bringing a specialist on board to talk to you, they're well represented, right? As if it was me. So
right.
I've definitely taken steps to not lose that hometown feel.
Mhm,
And part of the reason why Maricopa became so attractive to me, outside of the pools of the real estate market, which was forcing many of us to look to the fringes, right?
mhm,
Um, Maricopa was a challenge because I was like, it's up and coming. It's kind of like it's just fertile ground.
mhm,
People are barely getting to know where Maricopa is. It's really not that far from everything that's going on here in Chandler and the East Valley and close to Phoenix, but it's far enough to where it can set itself apart, and you
mhm,
have that town feeling, so
mhm.
people get to know you. Yet nobody knew who I was when I came out to Maricopa a year ago in July. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to start something like an HOA.com out here, because one of the things I notice on Facebook is a lot of people complain that they try to get somebody to come out to do something and they
Mhm,
never show up, right?
mhm,
It could be a trade, it could be a simple callback, a quote. Well, that's what I'm talking about, is the being able to talk to these people and hey, what's going on? How can I help you?
mhm,
Um, if it's happening for other services, it's happening in my world in real estate, mortgages, credit. People have these problems. Nobody is really helping them in the proper way. And I'm looking at, I have a team that's looking at different ways that we can hit that. And we'll talk more about some of those programs that I'm coming up with,
Yeah.
or my team, to be able to assess some of those problems.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that, what I love about HOA.com is they're vetted professionals and they understand the value of getting back to people in a timely manner, showing up, just show up, not telling you you're going to be there and then not showing up, ghosting people, not giving them the quote, all of that. I'm like, I've had that happen in certain situations. And then people have said, well, would you refer that person? I'm like, I can't. In good conscience, I can't. I cannot refer
Really
someone
difficult.
that didn't show up for me. I don't know what they would do for you. You might have a totally different experience. It's up to you. But
Right.
I can't. So, like you said so many great points just in what you've shared, Jimmy, about this hometown feel. It's very boutique like, that even though you may have 3 or 4 people working with you and it's an extension of you, it's that culture that you've created in your organization. And I think that people really are looking for that. They don't want to just be a number. They don't want to just go to an organization and be shuffled down and passed down, to the next person to help them, especially if you were the one that established the relationship with them to start. Like, they want to know that you're still very much a part of this, this relationship and of this
Right.
working relationship that you have together. So you were doing so many good things, and I just want to applaud you for that, because I know that, sometimes it's just great. You're in the team. Never see you again. Don't know you. Don't don't know your name.
Right.
And I run my businesses very similar too, where I'm like, I want to know the client. I want to establish the relationship. I don't want them to just be passed off.
Right.
I never know what's going on. So I appreciate that you're doing that. And that sounds like something, and you can elaborate on this, but
Definitely.
it sounds like that's really what sets you apart from so many other companies. Not just that you have so many facets and you've learned all of these skills and you can help people with a variety of different things, but that that you do have that hometown boutique. We've got you. You're in good hands. Pardon Allstate. You're in good hands. Us kind of thing. Like, it sounds like that's really what it is that sets you apart. But are there other things that are setting you apart that you can think of, Jimmy?
Yeah, and let me tell you, my I'm like an onion, right, with all the different layers.
Hmm.
When you come to me, um, I look at the situation very organically, right? Not just from the sense of, okay, I understand that you want to buy a home, or I understand that you want to refinance, or whatever the scenario is. The reality is that everybody's situation has so many different angles to it, right? The easy thing to do as somebody in financial services is to say, okay, we have to go get you pre-approved, and that's it. Here, I'm going to pass the baton to Joe over here, and he'll take care of you. And when you're ready, he'll bring you back. I have taken an approach. I'm an underwriter,
Hmm.
right? Even though I'm a salesperson by heart, I've taken a very analytical approach to my business, because I need to know how to look at things more forensically, right? What if I
Sure.
say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to get you the results, but I need to know what that looks like, right? So I look at everything that I do in as an underwriter, so that I can get to that approval, right? And it's very important to understand that behind everything that I do, there's all those different layers. So you got credit, you have the financial aspect of it, budgeting, loan to value, debt to income, all these variables.
Right.
You don't just start talking to somebody in that language and expect them to know what you're talking about, right? If they're working and they're making 20, $30 an hour, and how much money do you need to buy a house? How much can you afford? How much money is in the bank for reserves? What can we use? Can we use gift funds? What about down payment assistance programs? All these things are things that people just don't know.
They don't.
So how do we just expect somebody to give us information in 20 minutes and give them a pre-approval, and that's it.
Hmm.
It doesn't work that way. So I like to look at things like, let me be your teacher, let me guide you, let me help you. Because if you come to me and I do an underwrite, and that's one of the things that I love about this. I became partners in this world that I'm in with people that come directly from HOA.com, right? So
Hmm.
I partnered with the CEO of Ethos Home Loans. I've partnered with Tiffany Clem with Endpoint.
Hmm.
AJ Mendoza was the CEO over there. So I can bring deals directly and get the answers I need, but I'm right there with them. So we're looking at these deals holistically, like side by side. So how good is that? That I'm not just sending a deal to a big corporation to get looked at eventually, but I'm actually I'm the quarterback on this football team to make sure that we get that touchdown with that
Hmm.
client being our end client that wants a result. So it's really cool because my wife is the leader on the credit side, right? If we run an automated approval or and we have to do something with credit, we can see that, right? We can assess the problem right then and there. As if you're at the doctor's office, they tell you you have this, you don't have to wait. You can get it done right now, and that's how we look at things. It's like what's the fastest way to get from point A to point B, right? Inside of what we do, and then we bring these specialists, right, to be able to do these things inside our world, and I run that very adamantly, very cohesively.
Hmm.
I can't do it all. I realized in my 46 years of age that I can't do it all, and it would be stupid to do that. My mistakes 20 years ago was because I was trying to do it all, right? And I couldn't. I work better as a team with a team of individuals who specialize in what they do. That in turn makes Jimmy Rios with EXP Realty a specialist in that arena, with the caveat of having the knowledge to be able to work with my specialists in other areas so that we can give you the best service. And that's really where we become a differentiator, right? Anybody can do a loan, anybody can get a rate. There's
Right.
homes, people can be a real estate agent or an insurance agent, but how do we guide them as if we were guiding our child, right? In the world of buying a house or whatever, you know? Um,
Yeah, and you touched on one thing that really stuck with me, and that is that you said you're a teacher, because
yes.
so many people, this is a touchy subject. Finances, how much can I afford? Do I qualify for a house? All of these things. Like, it takes a special person to be able to go to and just say, I need help with this
And
without
then
feeling embarrassed
the
or
emotional side that goes with credit. Credit
right.
is one of those things that we know when our credit is bad or
Yeah.
when there's challenges in our credit. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean we're open to open that kimono and say, here, here's my mess. Help me. People don't do that, right?
Uh-huh.
One of the first things people will go years with bad credit and they'll pay outrageous amounts of rent or interest rates on account of that bad credit because ego kicks
Mhm.
in. We don't want people to know our
They don't want
business.
to ask for help, right?
No.
Mhm.
And that's where I think being empathetic to a person's needs, having been there myself, because I'm very vulnerable and I open myself up to my experiences, right?
Mhm.
What made me get the credit business off the ground was from my own debacle in 2008, 2009. When
Mhm.
I lost everything and I had to go to selling cars and couldn't get a job back in the mortgage business for a while, I struggled. And I was the first to go and get help on my credit and learn with attorneys how to fix it and what could I do, what couldn't, the laws that go behind credit. I changed the name from credit repair to credit enrichment
Mhm.
because enriching
That-
is a positive connotation, right?
Uh-huh.
When you
Mhm.
say repair, something's broken. But there's
Broken.
a lot of times where it's not that. It's just certain things need to be done. You have to address the situation. And when you do, the solutions come, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't take a lot, but something has to get done. You can't keep it under the rug and pretend it's going to go away. It
Yeah.
just won't. It's going to stay there forever. So I'm very proactive in solutions, and that's we're like, if you ask me, Jimmy, well, what are some of the things you're doing now to help others that are a little bit different. Some of the things, or one of the things that I'm noticing, and that with the my work with AJ at Ethos, is we put together a program called Gravy,
Hmm.
which you've heard of points that you get that you can
Hmm.
redeem. You know, you see them on credit cards, you
Right.
see it in different things. Well, what if we could do that with
Mm.
rental history?
Hmm.
And by that I mean every month you make your payment, but what if you can actually redeem these points for a down payment, right? And being able to get into a home utilizing our system, right? Utilizing our help, and where we can credit you up to $10,000 towards your closing costs. And now you don't have to rent. Now you have another viable way. Now, what if we couple that with a down payment assistance program that can help you with 3 to 6% of your closing costs, right?
Hmm.
Now it's a little bit more attainable to go into a $400,000 or $500,000 house, which is hard enough as it is,
Right.
because we have to think outside the box. And how do we help individuals get into affordable living, right? If homes are $500,000 or
Hmm.
400,000, right? So we got to be realistic in the situation. Well, this is how we do it, and it starts with programs like this, educating from the beginning, changing habits, right? Because a lot of times people don't know what they don't know, and
Right.
you can make good money and still have bad habits and not have the money to showcase where'd your money go. How I can't afford that. Well, you can, but you're not set up properly, and all your money is like having a bucket with a bunch of holes. Everything's going to go through those holes, right?
Hmm.
And you're never going to have any money. So we teach different parameters of budgeting and things like that to help you get to that, because I'm telling you, people are paying $1,700 to $2,000 a month for rent. That's 100% interest. All right. If we think interest rates are high at 6%, you're paying 100% interest when you're renting.
I
Take that
know.
into your mind and gobble that up, because at the end of the year, if you're paying $24,000 in 100% interest, that's $24,000 that you don't own, right?
Right.
And even if the
Right.
appreciation on a house only goes up 3%, right, and keeps up with inflation, at least you own it. At least you can say, this is mine, right?
Hmm.
So people, they say, well, should I wait till rates go down? Look, rates, they might go down a little bit later, but let's get realistic about the situation. Things are
Hmm.
the way they are. We went many years, over 13 years, with an economy that just went like this, right?
Hmm.
It had to correct itself at some point, and here we are. Now we still need, your basic necessities. You still need food, air, shelter, and water, right?
Hmm.
So let's look at ways to get into these things. You got to help yourself. Put the mask on and let's start breathing again.
Right. Yeah. Smart tips too. And I mean, I agree. I have so many friends who are renting, and they're like, my rent went up again. My rent went up again. And I said, okay, but there are programs out there where you can see about qualifying for a home or start working towards getting your own home,
Right.
because you shouldn't rent. If you want to just keep renting and throwing away the money, then go for it. But if you're ready to buy, let's figure this out. And I think it's like you said, having an open, honest conversation about where you are and putting a game plan, you being the quarterback,
Yep.
let's establish what we need to be doing here so that you can make smarter decisions, better habits, change your spending, save more, whatever that is. So I love that you're doing that. You really do. You're taking a very proactive approach, Jimmy, and I think a lot of people can appreciate that. And
Yes.
I do love that you changed the word from repair to enrichment. It sounds so much more flowery and positive already. And repair is just like,
Psychologically, it makes a difference when you talk to people and you help them. Recently, we helped somebody; their scores went up over 150 points, and the psychological effect of what they see when they rescore them, and all of a sudden their world opens up to approvals, to going into a dealership without having to feel like you're going to get jacked for, the world, and knowing that you have a little control
mhm,
back based on a
mhm,
few things that we helped you do. um, it's amazing, and that says a lot, because it doesn't happen to everybody inside of 30 days. It might take 60, 90, it might take 6 months, but you don't, do something over 10 or 15 or 20 years where you mess up and expect results from one day to the next.
Right.
You have to give it time, and you have to have the knowledge that we give, and put those into action. A lot of times people will go back to bad habits, and then they complain, well, of course it didn't. Nothing works if you're trying to lose weight and you're still stuffing your face with cake. Something's got to give. It's not going to work.
I had a good friend of mine at the gym said his wife eats ice cream every day and can't figure out why she can't lose weight. And he's like, stop eating the ice cream. Like, that's the problem.
And,
So you're right.
and it's a subtle change. It's a subtle change, but it compounded over time. You'll see it, right? And so everything I do, I talk like that. I mean, I take it very personal because I'm human. I have my own challenges, right? And I'm constantly challenging myself, right? And I go back to the basics and I say, okay, what do I need to do today, right? And if we start thinking that way, we start teaching that way, it's a lot easier to chew, taking in little small bites, right? And accomplishing little feats of greatness. I think that goes a long way to help people.
I agree. Good. Well, I know we're wrapping up here, Jimmy. I want to give you the floor to give a shameless plug. I know that you're getting ready to start the Maricopa Business Alliance, and thank you for being a part of that with HOA.com. But as we wrap up, tell us how people can find you. I know I'll put your website up here, and what you're working on aside from the gravy program. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, no, definitely. We are working with a nonprofit in bringing out some down payment assistance programs that kind of went away when everything was booming. I think more people need help now. We also do in-house underwriting, so we can take a file and really look at things from all different aspects of it. There's no scenario that we can't somehow make happen. We do have portfolio lending as well, so we can keep that paper ourselves, and it gives us a lot of latitude in being able to work with clients of all kinds of scenarios. So when you think of a team, don't look at your situation as dreaded. If you have problems with your credit, there's so many things that we can do. I've seen approvals with a 500 credit score, right? So it's not always the tried and true, sit in this little box window. No, let us look at it. Let us formulate a plan to work with you and get you to the other side. And I think that's going to take you a long way. At the very least, you're going to learn. You're going to learn something from me, and maybe you can help others in the process, and that'll be even better.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for being on the show today and dropping all your words of wisdom. And I'm like, okay, I'm sending everybody to you.
I really do appreciate the time. I know we got to cut it short, but anytime you have any questions, give me a call, and we'll be here to help you.
All right. Thanks so much, Jimmy. And
all right.
Again, Maricopa, and we'll be in touch. And thanks so much for people who are tuning in or watching this live. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time on another HOA.com Alliance Leader Spotlight.
All right.
See ya.